Hello, good morning and welcome to this very special webinar where we will reveal the top 10 fastest growing logistics service providers in the UK. I'm Chris Walton, editor of Logistics Manager. This is the third and final of a series of events taking place this week that has taken an in-depth look at some of the success stories in third-party logistics in the UK through our exclusive research. You can only discover who made the top 50 by watching these webinars and ordering a copy of the research itself. If you missed the first two webinars of this week, you can discover who ranked 50 to 31 and 30 to 11, as well as hearing from businesses like West Coast, Clipper Logistics and Logicor about how they are transforming their businesses by going to logisticsmanager.com/webinars. This week would not have been able to happen without the five sponsors of the Logistics Manager Top 50. So as I've said before, we had West Coast, Clipper Logistics and Logicor, and today I'm joined by Descartes and Kinaxia Logistics. Later, I'll be joined by Simon Hobbs, Chief Executive at Kinaxia Logistics, where his approach to strategy, growth and investment will be discussed. Discover how Kinaxia has grown through acquisition, what factors have led to its growth, and how it will achieve its goals. I will also be joined by Descartes Vice President of Sales and Country Manager for the UK and Ireland, Paul Sweeney, for a wide-ranging conversation about how Descartes is helping businesses transform their operations with technology. But more on that in due course. It's worth just giving some explanation to newcomers for what the top 50 is. There are four elements to the top 50. The first is data. The research is based entirely on publicly available data regarding the financial performance of logistics service providers. All figures have been sourced from fully audited accounts filed at Companies House. Where possible, the most recently filed accounts have been used. And for companies with multiple divisions, we have used the most recently filed accounts for each division where possible. In some cases, this means that entries are an approximation of performance based on the most up-to-date data available. So hopefully I've got the disclaimer out the way there. All the data that has been used to compile the countdown has allowed us to focus on one thing, and that's growth. Some rankings look at companies by size, either in terms of turnover or the number of people employed, the number of warehouses they have in their network, but we've decided to rank the top 50 this year by growth. This allows us to focus on the growth stories that have delivered such performance, where third-party logistics has helped businesses grow, or where businesses have changed markets by making acquisitions. But if you want to know the rankings by turnover, we've got that in the supplement too, freely available to purchase directly. So why are we looking at growth, aside from it being a unique take on the performance of the sector? Growth leads to success. The Logistics Manager Top 50 Service Providers isn't just an exercise in data gathering and fancy spreadsheets, although they're my spreadsheets, so they're not that fancy. We want to showcase the success of British business. We want to showcase the logistics service providers, the 3PLs and the 4PLs that are helping their customers grow and achieve their goals. That is what being a service provider is all about. Finally, along the way, we'll discover the customers that are growing with their service providers, from high-tech to retail, from export to import, and e-commerce to healthcare. Logistics has its covered. So let's start the countdown. So in 10th place, we have Europa Worldwide. Turnover at Europa Worldwide was up 16.5% to 205 million. The group itself has four main trading divisions: Europa Road, Europa Air and Sea, Europa Warehouse, and Europa Show Freight. And 2019, its most recent financial year, was a year of investment by Europa. In February 2019, it acquired some of the trade and assets of end-to-end fulfillment and warehouse management services provider Menzies Response for an undisclosed sum. The purchase included Menzies's, easy for me to say, Rushden and Northamptonshire warehouse, and a PCI-compliant contact centre in Ashford in Kent. Other investment during that period included 250,000 in refitting its Birmingham warehouse, and Europa has been investing heavily in Brexit preparations, including over 2 million in its Dartford transit warehouse to increase racking capability by 75%. In July 2020, it opened a 60,715,000 square foot warehouse in Corby, Northamptonshire. Of 2020, its chief executive, Andrew Baxter, said that the business anticipated that 2020 would see limited or modest growth due to the pandemic, perhaps unsurprisingly, but he was highly optimistic for 2021 and the march toward it achieving a turnover of 400 million. So still some way to go for them, but you can see the ambitions and the scale of the company. In at number 9 is Advanced Supply Chain. Its UK turnover was up 18.1% to 82.9 million. The Bradford-based group offers a mixture of supply chain management and consultancy services, as well as specialising in omni-channel fulfilment, incorporating garment processing, reverse logistics, and warehouse distribution. Its most recent financial year saw it open a 2,240,000 square foot warehouse, also in Corby in Northamptonshire, funnily enough, where it provides fulfilment and return services for e-commerce, omni-channel, and high street retailers. I think we can see a trend there in where the market is accelerating. To that end, 2019 also saw it develop an offer for luxury fashion line LK Bennett. To that end, it cited strong revenue growth down to its expansion of its UK warehousing business, where it focuses on high margin, added value service operations. Internally, it has invested heavily in the development of its intelligent supply chain software, and 2019 has seen it expand operations internationally into the Czech Republic, United Arab Emirates, and Hong Kong. It's worth noting that Advanced Supply Chain Group has been one of the fastest growing service providers of recent years. In 2016, just 4 years ago, it achieved a turnover of 48.5 million and has grown by 70.9% over the past 4 years. In at number 8 is Expediator. Turnover at Expediator was up 19% year on year to 213.2 million. Asset light and acquisitive, Expediator recorded a 32% increase in logistics revenue and a 16% increase in freight forwarding revenues during 2019. Its growth was driven by the activities in the Baltics and the Balkans, as well as its Palex franchise in Romania, and some 58% of its revenues are generated in Central and Eastern Europe. Not bad for a British business. 3 years ago, turnover in the business stood at 73 million, while it closed 2019 with turnover of 213 million. So a remarkable rise there. And its strategy has been to act as a consolidator for the freight management market. In 2017 and 2018, it completed 4 transactions in that space, acquiring Anglia Forwarding Group, Import Services, Benfleet Forwarding, and Regional and Express, adding a remarkable 1,200 new customers and significantly expanding its air and sea freight capabilities. In 2020, its Delamode division acquired a 3PL in the north of England called NID Transport, but that's been the sole total of its acquisition activity so far this year. In at 7 is Movianto. Turnover at Movianto and its UK activities was up 24.8% to 178 million. The major activity, though, came in June 2020, when the Walden Group completed its $133 million acquisition of Movianto from previous owners Owens and Minor. Walden Group is a pharmaceutical and healthcare warehousing and logistics service provider. Walden, you may know, is born from the merger of the European Healthcare Distribution Holdings, EHDH, and Movianto, and currently has more than 5,000 employees spread over 6.7 million square foot of warehouses across 12 European countries. As a combined group now, Walden is delivering nearly 500,000 packages a day. Prior to this acquisition, it was initially announced in January 2020 that the UK subsidiary had recorded turnover growth of 19.8%. In at number 6 is a name that we'll all be familiar with in the shape of Amazon's UK Logistics Services arm. In that division, UK turnover was up 26.2% to 3 billion. It's the fulfillment and support services division of Amazon, and it spent much of 2019 opening, and indeed much of 2020, opening new fulfillment centres and expanding its UK delivery network to third-party sellers. Globally, third-party seller services, including delivery, distribution, customer services in local languages, and product listings, accounted for 52% of all turnover at Amazon, so it's a major player for many small e-commerce businesses. While 2019 was a year of considerable growth for Amazon UK services, 2020 has been a banner year, and in August, Amazon added Morrison's Groceries to its Prime offering, and its appetite to add commercial space to its network has seen record leases and acquisitions in excess of 12 million square feet of commercial and logistics warehousing space, which is more than double the amount that it acquired in 2018, which was then a record in itself. Central to its expansion of its footprint has been the state-of-the-art robotics-powered fulfillment centre at Summit Park in Nottinghamshire, a 1.75 million square foot property with more than 500,000 square foot of floor plate and several mezzanine floors. It's worth noting as well that by this summer, Amazon alone had accounted for a third of warehouse take-up in the UK alone. After all those facts, it's worth considering how these 5 companies that we've just reviewed compare in context to the wider top 50. All 50 businesses have a combined turnover of 34 billion, making them a remarkable player in the UK economy. Average year-on-year growth stood at 12.4%, while average pre-tax profit is 17.3 million. And if you order a copy of the Logistics Manager supplement, you'll be able to see all the pre-tax profit performance from all 50 companies. It's also worth noting that the average profit margin is 2.7%. So there's clearly a lot of work to go, a lot of work to be done in the third-party logistics space when it comes to sustainable margins. Now I'm going to pause the countdown for a little bit and welcome Descartes Vice President of Sales and Country Manager for the UK and Ireland, Paul Sweeney. Paul is a specialist in the solutions and technology that automate and create value for today's global supply chains. With over 15 years of experience in helping businesses transform their operations with technology, Paul has previously held roles as a Chief Technology Officer for logistics software businesses and worked in both the UK and the US. Paul, welcome to the webinar this morning.
Hi, good morning, Chris.
How are you?
I'm good, I'm very good. Good to be with you here this morning.
Good, nice to hear you. I think to start this introduction to you, it's worth me asking if you could just tell me about Descartes and what you do for 3PLs.
Sure, okay. So maybe if we move to, I think there's a slide here just gives a bit of an overview in terms of Descartes and the solutions we offer. For those out there who may be familiar with Descartes, those who aren't, we're a publicly listed business based out of Waterloo in Canada, around about 300 million in revenues per year, with a large portion of our organization in North America and Europe as being 2 of our main markets, and UK being one of the leading markets for us in Europe. In terms of what we do, everything we do is software products for logistics and supply chain organizations. And we offer those products as cloud-based or SaaS-based solutions out there. So we cover a broad range of products along the supply chain. And this diagram here is really just trying to categorize those, sort of from the left-hand side there, what you would see is, sort of trucks on the road, route optimization, proof of delivery, telematics, sort of compliance with TACO analysis and so on, through to transport management, and then into the world of e-commerce. E-commerce shipping and fulfillment for online retailing, and then getting into more of the compliance space, which is global trade intelligence. So things like denied party screening out there at the moment, also with Brexit coming hard on the heels of 2020, the whole importance of free trade agreements and how that impacts your landed cost and so on in there is an area we have under that sort of global trade intelligence. And then broker forwarder solutions to help organizations coordinate movement of goods, and through to then on the very right hand side is the whole sort of customs and regulatory compliance, so import, export, and so on in there is a significant portion of our business as well. All of those business applications that we provide out there, they are all connected through what we call the Descartes GLN Global Logistics Network, which is one of the largest privately held messaging networks globally for business to business. Messaging handles millions of messages a day, and I think there's over 200,000 connected parties to that network. Many of those are 3PLs, many of them are carriers, air carriers, sea carriers, and a huge portion are retailers and traders out there too. So that's sort of an overview of the solutions, and then maybe if we move to the next slide, it just helps position it a little bit more in terms of 3PLs, particularly 3PLs who are running sort of truck transportation. So in our transport management space, you know, we addressing such as third-party carriers and routing guides and contract management for third-party carriers where work is being subcontracted out, but then equally for your own vehicles, the whole concept of transport planning, transport optimization, right down into route optimization, mobile applications for proof of delivery, dock and yard management, visibility then as well, real-time visibility. So what we look to do with our technology and our products is to help 3PLs really sort of extend and enhance the services that they can offer to their customers. So one which is very sort of topical out there at the moment is the whole concept of visibility and real-time visibility through your own fleet out to your customers, but also out through subcontracted parties and third parties that you're working with out there, and being able to give that visibility regardless of how you're moving goods for your client out there. So that's the concept of real-time visibility, and having portals that enable your customers to get access to that is an area where we sort of help 3PLs enhance their service. Other areas very topical at the moment in terms of the home delivery last mile spaces, enabling sort of 3PLs to offer appointment scheduling services to their customers. So their customers is the retailers, giving those retailers the ability to offer appointment scheduling solutions to the consumer, and making those appointments scheduled based on the real-time logistics capability that the 3PL has to offer those appointments in a geography at a point in time in the future.
Absolutely. Before I then move on to my next question, Paul, I'd just like to remind everybody watching that both you and Simon Hobbs, Chief Executive at Kinaxia, will be available to answer questions at the end of this webinar. So if you, at any point during the presentations or our conversations, want to ask us a question, just click on the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, type in your question, and I'll be able to pose that as we get towards the end. But Paul, let me just ask, we all know, and we've all experienced it, 2020 has been such a challenging year. How has the pandemic affected supply chains, logistics, and 3PLs?
Yeah, so definitely a challenging year, you know, and it has moved through phases in the year as well. So certainly at the outset of the lockdown, there was a significant impact just on supply chains, and sort of the airlines, cargo moving in airlines and so on being impacted. So we, through our sort of global logistics network, we've got a first-hand visibility of what was happening in there, and helping organizations to react to that and change their supply chain paths using our technologies there. Then looking at the boom that came in terms of the home delivery and online e-commerce. Again, with our e-fulfillment solutions, we saw that initially, as the lockdown came into effect towards the end of March, that the volumes of online purchasing dipped quite significantly, but by sort of probably the first 2 weeks in April, we could see that the volumes were increasing, and we were able to help our organizations using tools like our e-fulfillment solution to gear up and start sustain volumes that by the end of April, which were well above their peak, peak season volumes, and sustained that through to pretty much all through the summer and into the autumn of 2020. So that side, we saw that happening. We also, from the area of groceries and retailers in the UK, helping with our transport management and dock scheduling solution, enabling the high volumes of peak season that came in with again in March and April, helping them keep the flow and remove congestion in their DCs around the country, using dock appointment scheduling to keep that flow working with their 3PLs integrated into that solution as well. So yeah, so in those ways, and then down to route optimization for pharmaceutical delivery, helping organizations there, such as the Boots organization, who's a large client of ours in the last mile delivery for pharmaceuticals, scale up their organization to deal with the extra load that they took on with the pandemic in there, and then down to simple things as reconfiguring mobile applications for proof of delivery to no longer require signature, but use photograph and so on as ways of enhancing the proof of delivery in there. So yeah, multiple different impacts and ways of using technology to help minimize that impact on the businesses.
Really. And I know Descartes is a leading player when it comes to customs and regulatory compliance. And we have Brexit coming in just a matter of weeks, days even. How have you been helping customers to prepare?
So quite busily is probably how I would suggest it is. It has been particularly busy second half of 2020. I think it's fair to say that there was a lot of uncertainty at the beginning of the year as we moved through into various sort of deadlines, and then June has been a significant time frame. But as organizations started to come into June, July, there's certainly been a significant growth in the number of organizations starting to get ready for the Brexit transition period ending on the 1st 2021. So, and that has just accelerated and scaled up all the way through the autumn, and is still continuing to drive a lot of activity in our business here in the UK. But in terms of what we've been doing further, than we provide custom solutions for the UK, import-export solutions that are all cloud-based, so designed to be easy to use for traders, and also scalable for forwarders and third parties as well in there. So whether it's the basic sort of import-export declarations, whether it's the port community systems, we have a port community solution as well that enables organizations to do inventory management of their goods coming into the UK, and get fine-grained control of what they're bringing in and what they're releasing into domestic circulation. So really addressing that core of Brexit in there with those solutions. But equally, sort of as one of the outcomes of the UK leaving the EU is, yes, it's leaving the customs union, so that introduces customs declarations, and whether it's a free trade agreement or not, you still have to do import and export declarations. That is a given. But also in there, the UK leaves the European security territory as well. So the UK will be its own security territory. And what that means is that the UK now will have to have security declarations on all movements of goods out of the UK into the EU, and vice versa also. And with the unusual position of Northern Ireland in the Northern Ireland Protocol, that positions Northern Ireland from a customs and security perspective to be within the European Union territory. So anything moving from UK into Northern Ireland needs import declarations, but also safety and security declarations. So we provide solutions for that as well. So solutions for all EU countries, UK, Northern Ireland, for safety and security. And then in that space of customs, the big sort of thing that has been expected for a number of years now is the replacement of the chief system for the UK with CDS. So Northern Ireland has hastened that, as the CDS system will be used in Northern Ireland for handling import declarations and export declarations for all trade. with Northern Ireland, and Descartes was one of the first to have compatibility with CDS, and right now we're one of the only organizations to have operational capability to handle the CDS declarations that are required for the likes of Northern Ireland out there.
Absolutely. I would urge anybody who wants to learn more about how Descartes is handling and tackling and helping people with Brexit to look out for our webinar, which takes place next week on Wednesday, the 9th of December. So look out for that, register for that, and you'll be able to learn a lot more. Sticking to the Logistics Manager Top 50, 3PLs and logistics service providers are constantly looking for ways to improve their operational efficiency, as well as customer experience. So how, Paul, do you help them achieve these goals?
Yes, so on the operational efficiency, that's a core area that Descartes provides solutions in. So some of our, major leading products are in the whole area of optimization of logistics and supply chain. So if you consider route optimization, so we do significant offerings in terms of route optimization. So that's dynamic, continuous route optimization that is operating in the background all of the time for organizations, being able to respond to any changes in day to either new demand coming into the system or interrupts in the system or unexpected events occurring, weather, traffic, and so on, and they're being considered in real time and adjusted in real time. So that enables organizations to then start offering their customers higher level or premium services. So for instance, in-day appointment booking with delivery in the day. So we offer clients, so the client who is running about 2,000 vehicles delivering to building sites and construction areas, and they are able to offer customers the ability to book an appointment in real time today, for that appointment to be delivered today as well at their location. And that is optimized based on the capability of the fleet to meet that appointment based on van capacity, locations, and so on. So giving higher added value services in there to a logistics organization's customers to offer to their customers is a key area. Others that we've touched upon in terms of added value services, the whole visibility and being able to determine expected arrival times for deliveries or collections, and be that in the last mile or be that across cross docks and large networks. So providing that multi-country visibility is something that we provide as well, and turning that into real-time customer portals for logistics organizations, customers to view and be able to react to themselves. So yeah, so certainly optimization, planning, be it tactical or strategic planning, and then being able to turn that into higher value, added value services to your customer is one of the areas that we focus heavily in.
Absolutely. So I think this is a crucial question for not just for yourselves, but for all logistics service providers as well, and how they've been successful, is how do you, as Descartes, build and maintain a strong relationship with your customers?
Yeah, so good question. Like we have, so look to have strong relationships and long-term relationships with all of our customers as a goal. And we've been quite successful in achieving that. So we have customers, in the retail space, for example. John Lewis has been a customer of ours now for over 10 years. 3PLs out there, some of the largest 3PLs and forwarders have been customers since the early 2000s with us as well. What we do to try and maintain that is a number of things. One is at the core of it is just making sure that our products and services remain compelling and current and innovative in there. So Descartes as an organization, we invest just under 18% of our annual revenues back into our products in terms of roadmaps to ensure that those products remain compelling, compliant to whatever regulatory changes occur out there. So that enables us to continue to offer our existing and new customers continue to refresh our functionality using our product roadmap to do that. Then, in terms of determining what is that functionality, what is important to customers out there, we run and put quite a bit of effort into our user groups and user forums. We run annual sort of user expos and user forums. We do that both globally and then at a European level as well. And we have a European user committee, which is run by a steering committee, which is run by our customers. Descartes facilitates that, but our key customers chair that and operate that to provide feedback and guidance from their experiences into our product management and direct the product roadmap itself. And then having a large support organization which is global. So we have a support organization that's sort of UK, European, Far East and North America. That enables us to essentially have a 24/7 coverage for support capability in there, regardless of where an organization or an organization's customers are in the world.
Absolutely. So what then, Paul, is on the horizon for Descartes in 2021 and beyond, if you're going to be so bold as to make a prediction in this as well?
Well, I think the world, sort of the world of 2021 hopefully is going to be different to the world of 2020, and will definitely hopefully settle down. But it certainly will be impacted by what occurred in 2020, both in terms of the pandemic and I think with UK and Europe in terms of Brexit as well. So what we're expecting to see in 2021 is certainly immediately on that COVID pandemic issue and the vaccine issue. There's a whole logistics challenge around that, which we're already starting to get involved to try help organizations address the logistics challenges around how does the challenges of 2021, how are we going to address those as a community? And we're already starting to work with organizations in planning on how best to achieve the challenges and meet the challenges there. Equally, then, if you look at the ever increasing and accelerated drive towards online and home delivery, that is an area that we are seeing huge growth in and expecting to see further growth in that. We're looking to extend what we already have in our product set in the whole area of using and utilizing artificial intelligence within the products to give even greater levels of capability in that sort of responding to the needs of an ever demanding sort of customers set out there. We're looking to do that in terms of giving greater flexibility for organizations. So, sort of just going beyond the traditional own fleet of vans doing home delivery, but going out into the gig economy and looking for sort of those ad hoc worker relationships and how do they come in efficiently, effectively, and deliver a level of service that you need for your brand and your customers. So we're looking to increase what we're doing in terms of incorporating those types of workers into the solutions as well. I think the last bit that we're probably seeing emerging there is probably the electric vehicle growth as well, and bringing that in with telematics integrated into electric vehicles, into routine and mobile.
Fascinating. Can't wait to see. And then just finally, where does anyone go if they want to find out more about Descartes?
So certainly there's I would recommend our website or drop an email or to myself, but certainly there's a huge amount of information on our website, so descartes.com. Underneath that, you will find a Brexit site, so descartes.com/Brexit. There's getting ready for Brexit solutions, and a wealth of information around all things Brexit. And also in our smart compliance space, which is TACO analysis, and then our routing area, which is routinguk.descartes.com, are all sort of areas that you'll find a wealth of information around Descartes.
Marvellous. It's been a pleasure to talk with you this morning, Paul. Thank you.
You too, Chris.
And I know you're staying on for questions. So if anybody's got any questions around any of the topics that Paul raised there, please do drop us a note, send us a question through the Q&A box that you can click on at the bottom of your screen, and we'll tackle those questions. But now it's time for the big reveal for the top 5 of the Logistics Manager Top 50. And in at 5, we have Owens Road Services. UK turnover at Owens Road Services was up a remarkable 27.2% to 89.7 million in its most recent financial year. And it's the largest 3PL in Wales, which is worth noting as well. A lot of that turnover came through its 2018 acquisition of Manchester's BTS haulage. But even then, when you exclude acquisition activity, its organic turnover has been remarkable, really, up 14% in the most recent financial year. And over 3 years, organic turnover is up 76%. So there's certainly something in the water down there in South Wales. Owens has seen warehousing revenues grow as customers stockpile products ahead of Brexit. As a result, it's taken on further premises, secured a number of new, but sadly undisclosed contracts, but it does say that they're new. And it's also incurred a significant amount of capital expenditure during recent years, though, to support the growth of the business. It's increased the proportion of its own fleet of commercial vehicles, and it spent 1.9 million restructuring the balance sheet on BTS as well. But then again, the 3PL, Owens has expanded its home and express delivery capability, again capitalising on the growth in e-commerce. And it said it had experienced surge in volumes in 2020 that it had only experienced during Christmas peaks. In at number 4 is EV Cargo. EV Cargo has seen turnover rise a remarkable 35.2% to 897.9 million, 900 million. EV Cargo has grown through acquisition primarily and comprises of software firm Aduno, freight forwarder Allport Cargo Services, ambient distribution 3PL CM Downton, temperature controlled 3PL NFT distribution, the 4PL Jigsaw, as well as the Pallet Force Pallet Network. It formally launched as EV Cargo back in November 2018. It's now in the process of renaming its different business divisions and aligning various reporting periods for the companies that now form the wider group. So these divisions now comprise of EV Cargo Solutions, Express, which trades as Pallet Force, Logistics, Global Forwarding, and Technology. I can just pin down on some of the performance of those divisions as well. EV Cargo Global Forwarding saw turnover rise from 232 million in 2018 to 338 million in 2019. EV Cargo Logistics rose from 316 million to 332 million. EV Cargo Solutions grew from 32 million to 83 million. EV Cargo Technology has grown from 6 million to 8.7 million. And EV Cargo Express has grown again from 116 million to 134 million. So they're experiencing growth across the board and across the entire portfolio. It's worth noting that EV Cargo is backed by Emergevest, which is a Hong Kong-based international private equity investor. In at number 3 is Crane Worldwide Logistics, which has seen its UK arm experience a turnover growth of 35.4% to 47.2 million. It may not be a familiar name to many in the UK, despite its recent success and financial performance, but as a worldwide group, it's operational in 120 locations in 30 different companies. It's primarily headquartered in Houston in Texas, but it does have operations in Aberdeen, Manchester, and at Heathrow. It describes itself as a supply chain solutions provider that includes primarily international air freight, ocean freight, project logistics and contract logistics, and also offers fully bonded warehousing capabilities and cargo screening capabilities. So it's experiencing significant growth within those areas. It's intriguing to note that the business was set up by a chap called Jim Crane, who, for old-time logisticians, may know the name Eagle USA Air Freight, which merged with Seaver Logistics back in 2007. And a fun fact is also that Jim Crane is the owner of the Houston Astros baseball team. So he's a man of significant means, and he's clearly backing his company to perform and grow significantly as well. Its UK arm spent much of 2019 and 2020 developing its Brexit customs services, and we've just been hearing about Brexit from Paul at Descartes there. And it also includes UK customs brokerage, trade advisory, customs simplifications, those kind of things. An intriguing note as well is that last year, the Microsoft chief executives, Satya Nadella, excuse my pronunciation of his name, described Crane as an artificial intelligence first company, as it's using AI-driven insights to flag requirements for clients and enable that team to focus on building solutions to support supply chain challenges. So a fascinating business that is growing incredibly rapidly in the UK. In at number 2 is Gregory Distribution. Turnover at Gregory was up 37.3% to 238.9 million. Traditionally, and still is, incredibly strong as a 3PL in the southwest of England. But in 2018, it acquired the Aberdeen-based ARR Crabe, adding approximately 50 million of turnover to its operations and significantly diversifying its business. Gregory operates in 35 locations across the UK and is strong in shared user transport, ambient and chilled warehousing. Its historic background in milk collection. It also handles pallet network deliveries. But the addition of AR Crabe has complemented that pallet distribution business and strengthened its long distance fleet as well of commercial vehicles, and obviously expanding its presence in Scotland as well. Its performance did suffer a little bit, actually, believe it or not, in 2019, when a significant long-standing customer in the shape of British Ceramic Tiles went into administration, but clearly it's not held its growth back at all. But October 2019 has also seen it sign a 5-year contract with Spar Group in the shape of Appleby Westwood Group. Since closing its last financial year, Crabe has also extended its relationship with craft brewer Brewdog for a further 2 years. And I'm not saying that this is just because they're here. The numbers don't lie, the spreadsheets don't lie. I've spent a huge amount of time putting these numbers together and discovered that number 1 is Canaxia Logistics. Turnover at Canaxia was up, and again, the numbers don't lie, it was up 47.9% to 170 million. So rather than me telling you all about them, why don't we hear from them directly? So I'd like to welcome Simon Hobbs, who's Chief Executive at Canaxia Logistics. Simon's been Group CEO since January 2020, so quite the year to start, Simon. But he has vast years of experience, sorry to say that, vast experience in the logistics sector, having held senior positions at the likes of Kuhn and Nagel, Zebra Logistics, DHL Supply Chain. He's got a proven track record of growing businesses and creating successful teams. He's got a transport degree from Loughborough, an MBA in supply chain management from Cardiff University, and he's also the chief executive of the #1 fastest growing logistics service provider in the UK. So congratulations, Simon, and welcome to the webinar.
Great, thanks, Chris, and I'm really glad I joined now, even more so. Yeah,
I know that's actually a surprise to you. So
it was. I watched the last two webinars, and I was chatting to Vanessa, our sales and marketing director, and saying, I think we're going to make top 10. I think we're going to make the top 10. So that was really 10. Pleasing. And I think I did say to you earlier, if we weren't in the top 10, I would have walked off now. Yeah, that was.
I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad you're still here. I think then, given that huge amount of growth that you've had in recent years, it's probably worth just outlining the structure of Canaxia and how you've evolved as a business as well.
Yeah, sure, Chris. Well, we're probably people on the webinar are probably thinking, who are Canaxia Logistics? Yeah. So we're a relatively young organisation. We started 8 years ago in 2012. We're privately owned. So 2 owners, Graham Norfolk, Peter Fields, they got together in 2012 and had this concept of doing what they call a buy and build strategy within the transport warehousing environment. So 2012, they acquired the first business, a company called Bay Freight up in Staley Bridge. And then from there, we went on and acquired more businesses. So, and the local brands are probably more familiar to people than Canaxia, although we are now moving to our next phase where we will look to promoting the Canaxia brand more and more and more. But just for people, so, who are we? So in terms of the the acquisitions that went from Bay Freight into William Kirk's, again in Manchester business, into Camux down in Colchester, Fowler in East Anglia. Then we came across the south coast to Lambert Brothers, back to the Midlands where we acquired Panic, Maidens over in Telford, Mark Thompson Transport, where you can probably see where I am today. And as Paul was saying, Mark's into the online e-commerce business. So whilst the other businesses may have struggled a bit in the COVID, Mark's business didn't. It's seen record volumes. In addition to that, then from Mark, we came into Manchester again, AKW, which is a great groupage organisation and a fantastic co-packing business. So we bought that. And then 2018-19, it was Fresh Freight in Newcastle. And finally, well, I say finally for now, it's David Hathaway down in Bristol. So those are the brands, and probably people are thinking, oh, I've heard of them. And when you drive them down the M6, as I do quite a bit, you probably see a lot of Kinaxia vehicles and a bit more branding appear on the trailers, etc. So that's the organisation.
13 businesses in total, am I right in thinking?
Yeah, 13 businesses. One week collapsed into William Kirk's. So our strategy is we buy profitable businesses. So only once did we buy a business that needed turning around, and we consolidated that into our William Kirk's business. But now we're going forward. That was probably one-off. It would be the occasional speculative one where we can sort of merge it into an existing business, but all profitable, family-owned, great service, great reputation, great brands. And of the 12 operating companies today, I mean, 6 are still led by a family member, which is fantastic. Is fantastic. And the other 6, the management team, the main have sort of come from within the original business. So we still keep, and we're very proud of that sort of family mindset, and we position ourselves as a connections, a family of families. That's how we want to position it. And has its challenges, as all families do, but it's got loads of potential as well, which is great.
Absolutely. Simon, just before I move into more questions, it's worth me reminding everybody to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screens to get in some questions. I was saying that both Simon and Paul are available for questions. You can ask them any questions. I'm also being asked questions about the top 50, and I'm willing to answer them as well. So if you want to ask all 3 of us any questions, then please use that Q&A function at the bottom. That's superb. So yeah, in going through acquisitions, Simon, what kind of attributes and qualities do you look for when identifying suitable targets?
Yeah, it can be quite a slow process. So it has to be the right fit for what Graham and Peter want to do in terms of building this sort of concept of a family. So it has to be the right cultural fit. It has to be profitable. Apart from that one exception, it has to be a profitable business with a good service reputation, a good brand, the right reasons for the family wanting to exit. And that's the key to it. And and that's why intentionally we're a very decentralized model. So we're leaving the local brands in place. If you see our vehicles, it's the family brand is on the tractor unit or cab. You'll see more Kinaxia livery on the trailers and on the cab door. But we're buying a good business, so why change it? So very decentralized model. The MDs run the business. We're building a central team to support the business, so not to take them over, not to change things, but to support the local business and to build on what we have. And that's the strategic plan, really, to build on the reputation, join these businesses together, and probably raise our expectations and ambition into more sort of national capability by joining all these dots up.
Absolutely. My next question sounds rather like the time Mrs. Merton said, "What attracted you to the multi-millionaire Paul Daniels?" It's kind of what attracted you to become chief executive of the fastest growing logistics service provider in the UK, and how have you found the challenge this year in terms of what's been happening in the world, but also running the group as well?
Yeah. I think the attraction was, and again, it's just the style of the business. Graham and Peter gave me 3 months. I set up my own little company when I left Kuehne+Nagel. I became a consultant, and they asked me to come in and have a look at the organisation. So I had 3 months of going around, meeting all the business, the MDs, the employees, some of the customers, And I really, I loved the culture, the mindset, the attitude. I mean, these are successful businesses we bought. So the people that run them know what they're doing. And they're very down to earth. They're very grounded. They know their numbers. They know the customers. They're a good bunch of people. And that filters down into the employees, because, employees that work for family businesses, there's a tightness, a teamness there, which is fantastic. So I went round and I looked and I thought, I like this. I could see the potential, and I've worked for a large organisation, so I could see what Graham and Peter were doing in terms of bringing this business and this buy and build strategy. So creating this sort of this family mindset. So that was really attractive. And I like Graham and Peter. They're good businessmen, very honest, great integrity, and I thought, I can do something here. So I saw the potential, and the business had 3 phases. Phase 1 was the buy phase. Phase 2 was then to build the central support functions to strengthen the business. So we brought in your HR, your finance, your health and safety, more recently CSR. So we put those infrastructures in on business development. But again, they were there to support the businesses. So we're not going to centralize everything and kill what we bought. I mean, why would you do that? These are successful businesses, so build on it. So phase 3 was my phase, and my phase is to come in and bring those businesses together, create this Kinaxia business, up the branding with Vanessa Hope's support and the wider team support, and then grow it. So whilst we've grown very successfully through acquisition, I'd also point out, I mean, I think you said earlier, the average growth rate is about 12.4%. The businesses, even without a central focused business development team, we were doing 10.5%, 11% growth per annum for the last 3 years. So we were growing anyway. So my goal now and focus is to focus on the organic growth. So we're still very ambitious. Where, as you said, we're 170 million. We have a plan to get to 250 million by the end of 2023. And that'll be through organic growth. I can talk a bit about that later, how we're going to do that. Funds permitting, we'll still do further acquisitions. There are geographical gaps. If you look at our map, you'll see where we're not in certain areas that we need to be in. And also on the acquisition side, looking at complementary businesses that we can bolt in that will give us maybe broader service offering. So Paul was mentioned, the home delivery. I'd love to get into that, to expand into that market, and move the business more into a logistics business on top of the transport, warehousing, co-packing, freight forwarding we do. And then the sad sort of the family emotional bit for me. So I've been in the industry a long time now, but my grassroots, where I started, my mother and father had their own transport company back in years and years ago in South Wales. So I was brought into this sort of same environment. I was working in my dad's workshops and driving trucks at the age of 18, all that kind of stuff. So to come back into this now, it's really, from a personal point of view, it's probably quite a nice thing to do. Because sometimes I sit there and think, maybe I should have stayed with my parents and run that business rather than go off and do what I did. So I've probably gone around sort of full circle, really. And I can bring all my learnings from, and I have great times, DHL supply chain, great company, Sea Logistics, great fun, Kühne + Nagel, great business. So I can bring what I learned in those 3 brilliant businesses into Kinaxia. So that was the attraction. And, we hadn't, it wasn't the induction I planned. Okay, and I took the role in February 1st, practically end of January. Yeah. So 7 weeks in, bang, March the 23rd. I still have that date in my head. March the 23rd, Boris into lockdown. Sort of 7 weeks in, and we even today, I've not had my senior leadership team in a meeting. I've not had a meeting face to face with all my team. Wow. It's crazy. Everything's being done via. We use Teams, and we use it pretty well now. We have Teams in all the locations. Everything's through Teams, which is great, and we're using it really well, as all businesses are. I like this webinar. 12, 18 months ago, it's maybe been a bit more challenging. It seems more natural now to do this kind of thing. So that's all good, but I like going out meeting people, customers, employees, colleagues, and I'm struggling a bit now because I want to get all the team together in a room and talk through the business plan, the strategy, the vision, where we're going, and build that teamness, that engagement. So that's a bit struggling, but we've come through it. I mean, in March, the first challenge, and businesses in our position probably had the same thinking because we didn't know what was coming with the lockdown. The first challenge was we're going to get through this. Being honest, that was how long is it going to last for, and will we get through it? So the strength of the business, this decentralized model, was probably one of the saving graces, I think. That, along with our employees, their commitment, and the customers, and I'll talk about that in a bit more. But so 7 weeks in lockdown, 2 weeks later, 35% of our volume vanished.
Yeah.
And again, people on this call will recognise that they were probably similarly impacted. So a third of your business is gone in 2 weeks, and you're thinking, and I'm still doing my induction. I'm still going around meeting people. I was. So it was then really interesting to say, right, what's going to happen? And that's when I really was impressed by the people we had, the team we had, the decentralized model. So 2 weeks after lockdown, 35% volume reduction. Within a week of that, we had 600 people on furlough. And we had nearly 300 of our vehicles parked up, defleeted. And we just brought our cost bases down to the volume we needed. And I'd like just to comment on that. The employees were great. We kept people communicated. Every week we send out a comms of where we were, the volume, and all that stuff, so people could see it. No surprises. But our customers, and I spoke to one or two others, and they said the same thing. Our customers were fantastic because we were worried about cash flow. Our cash payment terms improved. Our debtor days reduced by about 15. And that was fantastic because we did think customers would extend payment terms. Some not intentionally because people were working from home, so it was quite difficult to make sure they paid supplies. So that was great, and that's really helped. And we're now coming through it. We're in a much stronger place. Our balance sheet is great. That's down to our customers again, and also the government, to be fair, in delaying VAT, PAY, all that kind of stuff, which has been great. That's been a big help. And we're in pretty good shape. And being new into the role, you can imagine. I'm going back to my role to bring the team together to create a team. Selfishly, it probably helped me because all of a sudden we had a crisis. We were in distress. And that's when you all pull together. So from a selfish point of view, it helps strengthen my position as a new CEO because it's a brand new role. We hadn't had one before. So it was different. So we're coming through it. We're now on the way out. Our volumes are 3% down year on year in the majority of the businesses. And where I am, Mark's business, Mark's business, as Paul was talking, is up 20-25% year on year. It's we're shipping out of here every day. These guys are doing 400 loads a day on line haul. It's really high volume. But looking for everybody else now to get through this. We have a business plan in place. We have a strategy. We're going to grow the business by 20 million plus every year without acquisition. And we're rebuilding. We now have a plan. We're putting out product management, account management. We strengthened our sales and marketing team. So we're looking forward to coming out of this now and push on again.
Absolutely. I think, Simon, as I've gone through the whole exercise of putting the top 50 together, is that it really is customers that are the heart of the growth of logistics service providers. And we've seen that across many different sectors as well, and particularly kind of e-commerce fulfillment sectors, those kind of things. But also you mentioned just then the kind of challenges of just getting out and seeing customers that has been difficult this year. So how does Kinaxia as a company kind of foster and maintain strong relations with customers, and how have you overcome that challenge this year as well?
Yeah, it's been difficult, and on a personal level, I like going out and meeting people. Walk around the operations, go and meet customers, and it's been pretty frustrating not being able to do that on a personal level. But again, it's because the model was right. The fact we've left the businesses run. The MDs still run each local business. So we have 13 businesses, which is demanding on time, because we have 13 board meetings. We sit down with each of them every 4 weeks to go through the business. But the MDs there and the senior team there own that business, and they own the relationship with the customers. And I think when you look at family businesses, that's one of their strengths. It's all about customers. It's all about service. We're as good as yesterday's delivery performance, and they make sure that the customer is at the heart of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fantastic to see. It's fantastic to see. So that's why when we're not changing that decentralized model, we will add to it. I mean, we've now rolled out customer surveys. So every year we do a customer survey, and even this year we're putting one out. And it's been a challenging year, but we put out a customer survey last week. We do an employee surveys every year as well. That came back in last week, so we got good feedback from our employees as to how we're doing and how we're engaging with them. But it's great to see those local businesses just manage that relationship, and it's all for them. It's all about service, and and I sit there sometimes. I'll speak to somebody. Can I speak to John, who's the MD at AKW Birmingham, and he's on a forklift truck. We've got a busiest day of the week this week. He's on a forklift truck. Well, can you guys give me a ring when he comes back in, please? It's that kind of mindset. It's great. It's great, but I'm also thinking, I'm not sure I want my MD on a forklift truck, but it's what they do, and it works. Yeah, it works.
Absolutely. Simon, I'll just ask you one more question before we then move into the question and answer part from the audience that's coming next, because we're getting plenty of questions in, and I just want to give them plenty of time, give us plenty of time to answer those. Also like to remind everybody, we've still got Paul Sweeney from Descartes on the call as well. Paul will be joining us for that Q&A session. So put your questions into the Q&A box now, and we'll tackle as many as we can as we come to the end of the webinar. But my final question, Simon, for you now is where do you see future growth coming from, particularly as you're now the fastest growing service provider in the UK, according to Logistics Managers research? Okay.
Well, if the two owners are listening, so Graham and Peter, right, I'm not going to commit to 47% organic growth. Right? I'm not going to commit to that. But we will commit to, let's say, growing the business from 170 million today to 250 million by the end of 2023. And that's without acquisition. So we'll do that. But the growth will come from building on what we have. So there's no way we're going to change what we have. The local businesses are growing at 10.5%, 11% per annum regardless. And they were doing that without the central team. So if you imagine now we have that historical growth, we have a business development function which Vanessa leads. We coming through the pandemic and COVID. We've doubled our sales team. Mm-hmm. So we brought in five new sales guys in August, September to help grow the top line. So we now have the resources to do it. And for me, it's looking at our existing customer base. So what more can I do for my existing customers? So what more can we do for them? How can we help them be more successful? So, if we're doing transport for a customer, why aren't we doing warehousing? If we're doing warehousing, why aren't we doing transport? If I'm doing warehousing, why aren't I doing co-packing? Why aren't I doing the freight forwarding? Because we have all these skills around the business. So all I'm doing is introducing each of the business to the capabilities we have as a group. Yep. And then we can go to our existing customers and offer more services. So that from anyone on the call, well, from a sales point of view, that's the first place to go. So we had CRM, customer relationship management, we had sort of account management light. We're now formalizing that. So we have very, very straightforward, nothing too complicated, a 2-page account plan document. What's our customer supply chain look like? What do we do? What don't we do? Why don't we do it? We can do it. So that's the first area of growth. It's just building on what we have. And I look at some customers, for the cosmetics, beauties, for example, products in Manchester. I'm doing all co-packing operations. In Southampton, I'm doing transport for a similar business. We don't do co-packing. So why not? Because they don't know we do co-packing. So as people on this call may not have heard of Canaxia, some of our customers aren't aware of all the services we offer. So that's the first place. Then we're going to push hard in terms of our warehousing footprint. We've got 2.1 million square feet of warehousing in the UK at the moment. We'll bring on 200,000 square feet every year, and we'll grow that. And that will also allow us to feed our transport fleets. 85% of our turnover is transport. So if we can put in a strategically located warehouses and then start feeding in and out of that with our own Canaxia fleet, so using that family of families, that again will help grow the business and strengthen the relationship with our customers. We're also then look at potentially other acquisitions we can bring in that will complement what we do. Yep. So as we say now, I mean, we want to get more into e-fulfillment, into e-commerce, not the last mile white van situation, not that, but when we do run the warehouses, we want more fulfillment, a bit like Clipper was saying on the webinar yesterday, that adding more value, so kitting, packaging, bundling, relabeling, whatever our customers want, that's what we'd like to do, to move more into that. And we're heading that way. So we have a sales team now. We have a pipeline which is too big, and we turn over 170 million. Our pipeline as of yesterday was 88 million of projects we're working on. 88 million, and I mean, I'm sure Vanessa's listening. I keep saying it's too big. It's too big. I'd rather have 40 million of really good quality opportunities, and I'd like to get our conversion rate up. We're doing about 20% at the moment. Let's get up to 25-30% conversion. So that's where we want to go. So there's loads of opportunities. If you imagine, we've done what we've done, without that central guidance and light touch, light steering. So we bring these businesses together. We'll be really, really powerful. So hopefully we'll be in your top 50 for many years yet. I
can see it. Okay, we'll move on to accepting the questions from the audience now. So we thank everybody for staying with us through this webinar. And I think I will handle the first question, which came anonymously, but it was directed at me in terms of the top 50 research itself. And I've been asked if the top 50 takes into account profitability, as some of the higher rated businesses recorded a loss rather than a profit. And I would say to everybody that the top 50 is not just these webinars, it's a full supplement, it's a full piece of research that I've been putting together over the past month that is available to purchase directly from us here. You'll be able to see details about that in a minute. I have looked at profitability, I've looked at profit margins. You'll be able to see all of that data within the supplement. For the purpose of the exercise in terms of the rankings, we wanted to look specifically just at turnover growth, because we feel that that's where the unique stories in the market are in terms of how businesses are changing and shaping markets when it comes to turnover growth. But if you want to know the size of the market by companies in terms of size of turnover, we have that data in there as well. We also look at the worldwide market and the top 25 global service providers. There's plenty to learn within the supplement. Simon, we've been getting people actually congratulating you on ranking top of this list.
Right, my family.
Well, I don't know if you know a chap called Matt Whitaker, but I know Matt. He does ask, in an already crowded market, how do you see Canaxia differentiating yourselves when going forward and maintaining this growth?
Okay, well that's what our strategy is built on, really. So we're going to keep that decentralized model. We're going to keep the MDs empowered to run their local businesses. Mm-hmm. We're going to keep what we bought working, and then we're going to bring those businesses a little bit closer together. So whilst we have a really strong regional capabilities, we can add to it, not replace it, add to it a national capability. So we want to target more national opportunities from a logistics, transport, warehousing point of view, and move into these sort of £3 to £10 million annual agreements with customers. Bring the strengths of the local business to a national level. So what we can offer our customers is that local focus on service, and that's I think the big differentiator, where that local business will own the relationship. And the one thing family businesses give you is great service and great focus. So that's where we're going to go. So we're going to build on that, but on a national level as well as local. And you know, from a customer point of view, the thing I really enjoy here is if you look at what we can do, right? So if you're a customer, we can do a pallet delivery for you. We can do a groupage delivery. Yeah, we're probably one of the largest groupage companies in the UK. We can do full load. We can do warehousing. We can do value-added services in the warehousing, co-packing, kitting, bundling, etc. I can even look at your freight forwarding for you. So, you know, there's a lot we can do there, and we can do it within the family. You know, so again, one of the strategic goals is to do more within the business. You know, so we'll share more of the volume with other Kinaxia companies.
Yeah.
So that's the differentiator. You know, service, customer focus.
And question for Paul. Paul, we're getting some questions regarding Brexit and what service providers can do as we kind of count down the days and move into the transition next year. But I know we'll be covering that with you in a separate webinar on Wednesday. But would it be helpful if you could just go through some very quick highlights of what service providers and 3PLs should really be focusing on in these days as we count down to Brexit?
Yeah, I think it's important for them to get very clear about what their needs are in terms of importing to the UK, exporting out of the UK, determining whether they're going, what approach they're going to take to managing their declarations, in the sense that you can import into the UK, but you've got an ability to defer your import declarations for 6 months. Are you going to take advantage of that or not? If you are going to take advantage of that, how are you going to then manage that as you get towards the end of the 6 months? Are you building up a huge volume of work for yourself? Are you going to have a large sort of liability in terms of duties and taxes owed and so on? And to start making decisions around that. But certainly then look at, if you're going to look at customs agencies or forwarders to do your declarations on your behalf, then you really need to have those relationships in place now, as those organizations themselves are incredibly busy. You can then determine whether you feel you're going to take on declarations yourself and do self-declaration. Then you need some software help and you need some training. So the software, you can certainly get advice from ourselves, on Descartes/Brexit. There's a lot of information on there about getting ready. But then also training of your staff, getting training organizations who are going to give you basic training on what customs is about. So training and software are essentially going to start doing self-declarations. If you're not doing it yourself, can you find a customs agents broker for you? But be clear on what it is that your needs are in terms of import, export, security declarations.
Absolutely. And I think I'll just wrap up the Q&A part with a question that I could aim at both of you and both get hopefully very different answers on, that kind of ties us together in terms of what the top 50 is all about. It's about the very best of British third-party logistics companies, and also about best practice. And I'd be intrigued to know, and thanks to Ken Hilton for posing this question, is how do you plan to transfer best practice between you and your customers?
Can we go first, Bob?
Yeah. Yep, will do. Thanks, Simon. So, yeah, I think the way we look at that, Chris, is very much, if you take innovation, best practice, interchangeably, innovation doesn't necessarily come from, technology people in a darkened room. Innovation comes from observing businesses, the challenges they're facing and how they're addressing that in operation in real life, and then seeing how technology can be utilized to try and make that more efficient and help them achieve things more precisely, more accurately, more efficiently in there. So the whole concept of user forums and customers feeding innovation in collectively to get a view on how you take that innovation and then turn that into capability, which will enable organizations to get their own best practice. That's sort of where we see that going, and also then creating the opportunity by facilitating user groups and user forums where customers can get together and share practices and how to utilize technology. So that's the model that we use, Chris.
Absolutely. And Simon, for you, in terms of sharing best practice with customers.
Yeah, and It's a really relevant topic for us at the moment, because you can imagine with all these acquisitions, you're buying companies that they're all good. So my challenge is to encourage them to be better. You can imagine the kind of characters who run our businesses. They're successful family businesses, so you can't go in there and say, you know, that's not very good, improve that, please. So what we do, and I've got a very talented young lady, Rachel, who's put into an operational excellence role. And what Rachel's doing is every fortnight, we will send out to each of the businesses a KPI pack on 12 operational measures. And what that says, it'll say, so take telematics on vehicles, take idling time, for example. So for every business, we'll send them every fortnight. This is one of 12 KPIs. So this is your idling performance, you know, across the your business, and we'll tell them where they rank. So it'll be, for example, let's say this is best in class within Canaxia. This is worst in class. This is average, and this is you. So it's anonymous, and you can imagine with our businesses, they all want to be top. Yeah, they all want to be best in class. So we're seeing significant improvements in a lot of operational metrics, and we've got an objective to increase our gross margin by 1% every year, to aid the bottom line, because it is important. So we'll do that internally, is that internal benchmarking, and then linking into growth is to, because we got good relationship with customers, is to go and challenge our customers as well, to say, you know, if we map out your activities, your supply chain for you, this area here, that isn't best practice. There's better ways of doing that. So, you know, we can share our learnings with you. And obviously the next question is, well, why not let us do that? Yeah, why not let us move in and do that for you? So it's an internal focus and an external focus, but it's critical to get, as the original question was, to get the bottom line up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time there on that Q&A. If I could have the final slide, please. So, yes, thank you to everybody for joining and watching this week. It's been a real privilege to count down the Logistics Manager Top 50 service providers. And congratulations to everybody who made those rankings. I would also like to personally thank all 5 of our sponsors this year. That's Clipper Logistics, Descartes, Logicor, Canaxia Logistics, and West Coast. Their insight and commentary across this week has been absolutely invaluable and made the top 50 a much richer story. So finally, you can purchase a copy of this research, which provides you with detailed analysis on all of the top 50, including the profit points that were raised earlier in the question, as well as rankings by growth and by turnover, a look at the world's top 25 largest logistics service providers, and as well as another 20 companies that we've not discussed on this webinar who are just bubbling under the cut. So email daniel.jessup@acarbomedia.co.uk, you can see his name on the screen there, to order a copy. The top 50 for 2021 is already being planned, and if you would like to support this event, and we hope we can count on Descartes and Canaxia to support us again next year, so you should then contact our sales manager Ollie Filmer on ollie.filmer@carbomedia.co.uk. Finally, I've been Chris Walton, editor of Logistics Manager. Thank you to everyone for joining us for Top 50 Week, and goodbye.